All right, guys, I'm here with my husband. What, post surgery? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, post surgeries
I'm here
after
post
surgery.
surgery. I had surgery in December 15th. When did you have yours?
Uh, 2/19, February 19th, 2019.
2019.
Yeah.
What did you have done?
I guess it would be called a decompression. Trying to remember it's a discectomy. I think that would be the appropriate name for it, but I know that was one of the procedures. I'm not sure if there's, because I remember going and hearing the doctor talking about laminectomy and all these other ectomies, but I know that's just like a certain type of procedure. But yeah, the main thing was that they went in there, had a herniated disc pushing up against my L5S1, and I had this constant pain down my right leg. It felt like it's kind of hard to explain. Like every now and then, like something will trigger it, but it was like this a sharp pain that goes all the way down. Certain things aggravate it more than others, but that's kind of what started that whole going down that going down that road and the road to recovery, I guess, because and you're never exactly the same. Not that you were gonna be the same without surgery or with surgery, so it's kind of like either way you're screwed. You're not gonna be 100%, you know.
But
But
how do you feel now that it's been, what, years? Couple of years.
yeah, it's been what we're in 2022. It's about to be three years probably
So for
going
you,
four.
do you think that was a benefit of going through that, or do you regret it?
Yeah, that's one of those things that I remember going, like, thinking about it before, and I think it's better that I went through it when I went through it. The thing is, like, it's usually like a surgery that you get done when you're older, like in your later 40s into your 50s, because
Kind of like what I'm going through now.
but no, even you, like, you're still considered young for such a procedure. Most people that like end up getting like back procedures, I mean, unless you're like an athlete and you busted your back doing some kind of extreme sport or something, you landed bad on your dirt bike, or you flew off of your scooter or something, like, or I mean, you get rear-ended, or like how one of our other friends, you slip, fall, and land hard on the ground. Like, it's one of those things that's usually wear and tear, unless some kind of injury just like takes you out of commission. And that's kind of usually like well, that's what happened to me. Like, I just rode it for so long until it finally gave out, and it did give out when I was trying to do something crazy, but it was work related. But I at the time, because when you're younger, you also, like, I was what, mid 30s, so you're like, you feel like you're still bulletproof. You're like at your, some people would say that that's your peak, right? Like, you kind of past your 20s, but like, you kind of, if you've taken care of yourself, you're pretty well-rounded person, where you're not like, I guess, like, over the hill, what they say, once you hit
Well,
40.
kind of
But
like me, right? Like,
yeah.
my diagnosis, according to my doctor, was I was born with it. It was something that I was born with, arthritis in the back. And so eventually, obviously, from not taking care of my back and thinking I had the strength that I didn't have, ended up getting a fracture in my back. So I ended up having to get 4 screws put in, right?
Yeah, it's 4 screws.
So,
And your procedure is the TILF, the TILF, which I don't remember where all those what all those letters stand for, but yeah, you could look it up on YouTube and see a video on it.
Yeah, so here I am.
We'll probably do a follow up video on that, on like looking up at the video while, like, I guess going through it again, like knowing what went what went on while you were knocked out.
Yeah, because let's see. I went into surgery 12/15th. I didn't come home until Monday.
It was like the 22nd or 21st, something, I don't know.
Tuesday, what day was it? Wednesday, we went to Walmart,
Yeah.
right?
You
Yeah,
were in the
so.
little shopping cart buggy.
Yeah, so. I mean, in all honesty, I mean, I can walk.
Yeah.
I really, honestly, I think I want to say, like I've been telling you and like you've noticed, my pain is more my leg pain, where like the doctor said he had to move my nerve
Yeah.
so much to get to where he needed to get to, that now that's what I'm paying for, is leg pain, and then my feet having to get swollen. Other than that, I mean, to be honest with you, like the back pain is not as bad as the leg pain.
Yeah.
It's frustrating sometimes
But
because
compared to like the first week, like remember how like the first 3 days you were, even though you were on Dilaudid and all that stuff in the hospital, you were still in like some pain, right? Like you
not as
weren't.
much as I am here at home.
Uh-huh.
Not as much because I mean, yeah, I mean, I was taking the oxys, the Dilaudid, the Tylenol, the GABAs. I mean, they were giving me anything and everything as long as I said what my pain level was.
Yeah.
If I said the oxys weren't working, then,
Yeah, see, that's one thing I noticed too that was different at the facility where you stayed, and you got a whole suite and a whole little, in the nursing unit you got a whole suite room to yourself, where I was sharing rooms with another patient. And also, as far as pain meds, like, you would tell them that you had certain kind of pain, or this was missing, or you felt like something was up, nauseous, and they'll very quick and attentive, like they were on it. They'll take care of you real quick. I remember telling, well, with me, it was a lot of times where I would tell them about my pain, and I don't know if it was maybe because it was workman's comp related or what, but like the pain meds, they're just like refusing to like let go any of, like, it was so hard to get any pain management that, I just started self-medicating with weed. I just felt like, well, if you're just gonna be giving me Motrin 800 and Tylenol extra strength 500s, like, I'm not trying to like damage my liver too, taking all these extra pills and not really taking care of any of the pain. So
yeah, well, I think it does have a lot to do with, because mine was through private insurance. It wasn't
yeah,
workman's comp. It wasn't accident or anything. It was my own private insurance. So I think, yeah, it does have a lot to do with like private insurance, and the fact that yours was a workman's comp.
yeah,
Workman's comp sucks.
yeah. Because the first time it was like, oh yeah, you have pain, okay, here's some Toradol. And that
Yeah.
Toradol is the same stuff they give the NFL players, and they send you back out into the field.
Well, yeah, because you have to remember, workman's comp, the company is having to pay for it.
Yeah.
So of course they're gonna try to save wherever they can.
And cut corners, yeah. Well, see, so that's like because of, I guess, of my the primitive, uh, you know, medical, I guess, great attention that I received. Like, because of that is kind of how I knew what would benefit you, as far as like, not having to deal with all these other bullshit procedures and having to take steroid shots and all these other things. And like with the x-ray, like, they were going to do x-rays, and I'm like, the x-ray's not going to show anything, because as busted as my back was, the x-rays, like, it showed that my back was fine. I'm like, your back's fine, it looks great, it looks like the back of a healthy 30-year-old. And then like they throw me in an MRI, and it's like, oh no, your shit's busted, yo. Like, you're done, son. So
Well, I mean, you saw the same thing though too with me,
yeah,
even through private insurance. Remember when we went to my first doctor's appointment that you were there?
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like,
And
I
the
think,
lady was like, "Well, no, the insurance won't skip an X-ray. Though you can't just go straight to an MRI."
yeah,
And then you had to tell her, "Well, you don't see her in the pain that I see her in."
yeah.
Like it's like
Well, so that's one of those things that, like, yeah, going back to like that car drive back home, that car ride back home, like, I haven't having worked um in the pharmacy setting, having worked uh in the hospital setting, in the inpatient setting, and the outpatient as well. Um, like when I was in the inpatient, you would see and hear the patients that were in bed, and then like you would get like the doctor's orders for pain meds or certain things, right? Certain patients require certain medications that are like, and in the
well,
out
also just for clarity, you used to be a
farm
farm
tech,
tech, right?
yeah.
So you kind of familiar with like the drugs and
Yeah, so
stuff like
that's
that.
why the inpatient setting is you don't you're not really seeing the patient face to face, but you're really dealing with a lot of their medications and orders, and it's like, so get to see their allergies and all those other things that like might interact with whatever medication they might be taking. But then those medications um are also like, how can I say, it's it's different when you go from the inpatient, which is like that, where you're, in the bed in the hospital, and you don't see the patient, but you see the medications that they're taking, as opposed to like when you're in the outpatient, kind of like the drug pharmacy, the corner store type of pharmacy, or like the emergency room pharmacy, where you get your not the emergency room, but like when you're getting your prescriptions before you leave the hospital. There's usually a pharmacy in the hospital, and you see the patients, they're all bandaged up, like if they've already had an accident, like if it's not their spouse or a family member or somebody picking up their meds. You'll see the patient come, like, waiting in the waiting room or walking in and picking up their medications, and you see them like bandaged up, or an arm gone, amputated, or if they're diabetic and little foot's amputated, like, you see that, as opposed to like when you're in the hospital setting, you kind of don't see the patient, you just know what they're getting prescribed. So I remember getting certain medications like that Toradol, where just kind of like some patch me up juice and stuff, and get on your way. Or like when they would give me pill medications, they would give me tramadol, which is pretty strong, but it's not, Vicodins or opiates and stuff like that. And then that doctor, for that specific for that injury that I had, yeah, would never really release anything. Like, but even like same thing with dentists. Like, and there was this whole Twitter thread on how Tylenol does not take care of some of these like pains that some other people have, or sometimes you get a tolerance, you develop a tolerance to like all these other medications where they stop becoming effective, just like anything else. So yeah, in that sense, I feel like they took care of you way better, and they did change. Like, I guess once I was like, hey, like certain things aren't gonna show. Like, stop wasting time with this other
But
stuff.
you know what though? I have a friend that works for Kaiser, and I was talking to her one night, and I was telling her like how nice everybody was, right? Like
Yeah,
everybody would come in and check in on me and ask me like, "Hey, are you okay? Do you need anything?" And she was like, "Yeah, well, you have to stay friendly with them because the friendlier you are with them, the more, like, let's say for instance, as much tramadol as I got, no, not tramadol, but the what was that? Dilaudid.
yeah,
Dilaudid was given to me according to her was because like I was cool with the RNs that were coming in.
Yeah.
So like she told me that. She was like, yeah, befriend them. She's like, because the friendlier you are with them,
Yeah.
like when you tell them you have pain, like they'll react real quick. And it was funny because sometimes like one of my day nurses, her, she didn't even bother asking me, because every time they would come in and give me like pain medication,
Yeah.
they would always ask me my pain level. What's your pain level?
Yeah, 1 to 10.
Yeah,
Whatever,
exactly. And that would
pain
depend.
scale,
Yeah. And then that would depend if I get the Tylenol or the Oxys.
Yeah.
Right? That girl, my day RN,
Yeah.
never asked me how I was feeling. She would come in and she'd be like, do you want Oxys or Dilaudid? Like, yeah, she would never ask what my pain level was.
Like
Everyone else, yeah, because
Yeah.
I had a strict nurse at nighttime.
Yeah.
She was strict. Like that lady, I had to wear that back brace thing.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah, she would never let me get up without it. And
That's
I'd be
good,
like,
though.
but
You kinda
like,
do need it.
I'm only going to the bathroom, and she'd be like, nope, you need to wear it.
Because imagine you get up and all of a sudden you split open, like.
But like, I'm going to the bathroom. Have you seen how huge those things are?
Yeah, but
It's
still,
like, but what were you thinking? What was going through your head when you were going into surgery? Like, what was your train of thought there? Like, what was going through your head? Because in all honesty,
yeah.
like I wasn't thinking much of anything. Like I wasn't worried. I wasn't thinking like, okay, like what if I don't make it? I know everyone else. Like, you know, because I know I joked about it before, and I used to tell everybody, like, well, this is something we got to talk about, like the what if.
Yeah.
But, I mean, when I was there waiting, like, honestly, like, nothing really was going through my head. I wasn't thinking, like, God, I hope this goes great, or, like, you know, please let me, you know, like, I wasn't
You
really
were at
praying.
peace.
Yeah.
You're ready to meet your maker.
Like, it's funny because I wasn't really like, but you know what though? That's like my second surgery that I've had.
Yeah.
And in both surgeries, I've always been calm. I haven't been nervous. I haven't been like, oh my God, like.
So even the first time you went under, you weren't tripping?
No, I wasn't. I was calm as hell. I mean, I don't know if I should be worried that I was that calm. But I know that I was calm. I was at peace. I wasn't thinking like, God, what if this guy messes up? Like, what if I come out crippled? Like, nothing like that. Like, I wasn't really thinking much.
See, that's good. See, I wish I could think like that.
So that's why I'm asking, like, what was going through your head going into surgery? Because honestly, the last thing I don't even remember being wheeled out of the room.
Yeah.
Like, I remember sitting there waiting for them because they kept on having those meets every so often and waiting for somebody to come and talk to me.
And talk around.
Yeah, and then like they all got together, I guess, or something.
Everybody, yeah. You're checking your
so-
TikToks while everybody's like waiting for somebody else.
Yeah. So what was going through your head?
Well, mine was a little different than that, because so I want to say, like, so that meeting room where you were hanging out and where you had to change into the gown and all that. So my spot where they took me in like that to undress and to wipe down and all that, it was empty. Like there was nobody there. I was the only person there. So it was kind of like not as
Eerie.
not as busy as it was when I was there with you, seeing everything going on. Because like I guess it was just too busy to really concentrate or to like worry about anything, because there was so much going on and you're just kind of trying to pay attention with everything. But with me, I think that it was my first time going under under anesthesia. So like that's one of the things that I've always been worried about, because I mean, as much as I used to like drinking and I would blank out, and that was no big deal for me, like not, thinking about anything or like being completely blank, but for some reason I've always panicked about anesthesia. And I guess because knowing how it kind of works, like, that you could be gone and like, just over a simple dosage mistake, you could be gone,
Yeah.
I guess because I kind of know how it works, it kind of bugs me a little bit. Where I think that's like the little danger. I think if you kind of know what the little risks can be, like like opening the hood of a car. You know, some people will open the hood of the car and they're like, "Oh, okay, it doesn't look dangerous in here. It doesn't look intimidating." But you know, if that shoelace string type thing is hoodie hanging off of your hoodie, and that thing gets caught up in a propeller or something while you're looking under the hood and it pulls you in, like that's like one of those thousand ways to die situation where you're not expecting it. It's a freak accident. You never think about it, but it can happen. There's that slight chance that it can happen. Same thing with dosages, or like if you've never been under and this is your first time going under, maybe you have an allergic reaction to it. That's another one where you don't know you have an allergy to something until you're actually when you've either
There.
consumed it or
Yeah.
infused it or something. And I think the other thing that panicked me out was, so I'm super curious. So like when the doctor was explaining to me the procedures that he was gonna do, and he was throwing out all these different terms, so I got on YouTube and started like looking up all these different 3D animations and like how this works. And like I found out that they use the Da Vinci machine, which I remember I had only seen parked in the surgical suites where I used to work at. Like I would always just see it, and people would point it out. Hey, that's the Da Vinci machine. That's the robot. And it's like, what? That's a robot. Like, but yeah. So they do these crazy procedures through like, well, at least the one that I got done through a little tube. But like, in order to keep the incision small, like, yeah, there's videos on this. It's crazy. But that's the thing. What scared me out of all of this was that modern medicine, when you really think about it, isn't really super modern. Like it's still kind of primitive. Like, and I think you've seen some of those procedures where you're like, oh damn, it's just like a hammer and chisel, or like, and I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
that's pretty much like when they're shaving down your bones, like they're using drill bits and like Dremels. The only difference is that it's like a stainless steel Dremel. You know, it's like a,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's something made from 3M or something, some other, you know, medical manufacturer. But like the tools are all pretty primitive, and like you got four screws in your back. Like one day they might just super glue these things together, or have some other kind of like other, you know, medical device, an implant that would go in there.
Yeah, I mean, low key, I would love to ask the doctor, hey, can I get a video of what you guys did?
Yeah,
Just so that I could, I mean, I know I can go to YouTube and see it,
there might be a video,
but it
somewhere.
becomes more realistic if you see your own video, I guess. I guess you kind of could look at it and be like, oh my God, like, really? That's what they're doing to my back?
Yeah.
You know, but then, I mean, I know he said I could take pictures of my screws and stuff, but I don't know. But I low key have thought about asking for a video. Like, I mean, they should have to record them, right?
I'm not
Like,
sure.
I mean, in today's technology, I would
HIPAA?
think. Oh, true. I mean,
I
but
mean, I
hey,
don't know.
you saw how HIPAA went out the window with my
Mhm.
friend contacting me through.
Yeah. Yeah, see, that's why we keep things super anonymous, because we're not trying to get anybody in trouble. That's kind of one of those, like, the ghost from Christmas Past just came in, like, hit you up out of nowhere.
I know.
She just happened to work for, we won't even say what department. We just leave it like that,
No,
but
she was just like, "Hey, weren't you just over here?"
yeah.
I was like, "Yeah." She's like, "Well, I work for them." She's like, "I do their coding, and I was going, and your file crossed through my desk, and she was like, I wonder if it's her." And then she said she took to Facebook to look me up.
Yeah, thanks, Meta. She went to the metaverse to go look for your.
Yeah, and then she like sent me what is it, a DM message.
She slid into your DMs.
Yeah, she's just like, well, I hope you don't get mad. Like, no, it's cool, you know. I mean, it's people I went to high school with, but I mean, I never thought I'd have to go through this to find my high school friends.
Yeah, sometimes like it's a pleasant surprise sometimes where you're like, oh wow, I was never expecting to hear from that person again. Or sometimes you just wonder, like, I wonder what that person's been up to, and bam, like years that they pop up years later.
Well, yeah, it's funny because she's the one that was like, well, I remember you and I were cool. So I kind of figured like it's okay for me to send her a message. Like I know her and I didn't part on
Bad terms.
bad terms, so like it's okay to throw hip out the window and reach out to her.
That's hilarious.
So I mean, no, it's cool. I mean, I've made a new friend, I
That was the
guess.
first thing that crossed my mind, and like coming from that setting, coming from that background, like as soon as like she hit you up and you're like, oh yeah, some friend from high school found me over here because she crossed paths with something, and I was like, really, like, so just throw hip out the window, like. Well, yeah, at least you guys were cool, and you were cool about it too, cause.
But I mean, it's like I told her. I mean, even if we had bad blood, it's high school.
Yeah.
Like I've moved on from that.
But think about how many more like okay, like you were cool about it, right? But think about like shitty people that would take
No,
advantage of
she.
that
You know what? It's
situation,
funny. Yeah,
like,
no, because she did say she contacted somebody else. Like
and
I
the
guess
shit
she
went
was
south.
another. She had another friend in high school, and she ended up finding them on Facebook as well.
Yeah.
She ended up like calling them because I guess that person's number was on their Facebook or however that works.
Yeah.
And she said that the girl was pretty much like, oh, after all these years, you want to reach out to me? Like, just being a real jerk about it, you know? And she was all like, well, I don't really remember her and I having any beef.
Yeah.
She's all like, but the way she just answered the phone and the way she was talking to me, it was like she was trying to remember if they had bad blood back in high school.
Yeah.
And she's like, I honestly can't remember. She's all like, I honestly, like, it's been so long. So that's why she has said she was hesitant. She said she had came across my file for a while, but she was hesitant to reach out to me because she was scared that I was going to behave in the same way.
Yeah.
But that's why I told her it's high school. We moved past that. We've outgrown that, you know, like first of all, I don't keep that many high school friends.
Yeah.
Right? Second of all, it was high school. Why am I going to hold a grudge that long? Mind you, I graduated in 97.
Yeah.
We're like 2023 almost.
Yeah.
Why am I going to hold a grudge from somebody in high school?
Well, see,
It's like,
here's the thing. There's just some weirdo people, because I will tell you that when I was always like so when I got out of high school, I got into computers and I was taking all these different things, and it was always computer related, or I had something to do where I had to be attached to a computer somehow, some way. So like if there was like a social media thing, if back when chat rooms were a thing, like I was always trying to find the next thing, right? Like right now Twitter's going down, like people are already hopping onto Mastodon and all these other places, right? Like there's already all these other things that are popping up that's gonna be the next whatever, like it's probably
the
like
next trend.
yeah, the next hot thing, like
Yeah.
just how like MySpace came, like that was one of those where like I found out about MySpace, boom, I jumped on MySpace. MySpace showed you how to code and fucking create cool ass backgrounds and all that. I had to learn that. I see other people doing. I had to learn that. So Facebook came around. I remember I had it at that time. I happened to have a .edu email. So like I remember Facebook, like you could only get in if you had a .edu. Later on, they opened it for everybody else a .com. But yeah, I got in there like this chick when I was working at this outpatient pharmacy. I had no idea what Facebook was. I was still on MySpace, and she's like, "Oh, do you have a .edu email?" I was like, "Yeah." from the school. I don't even have it anymore, but that was at the time when I did have it.
Yeah.
And then she was like, "Oh, let me set it up for you," because like that was their thing. Like they were all on it. So I was like, "All right, cool." And then I really didn't even use it. I used to use nothing but MySpace, and that's how I used to find out a bunch of bands and all types of other cool things and events. And then Facebook took over, and then a lot of the people that were on MySpace were on Facebook, and then MySpace just turned into a big commercial advertising spot, and everybody just kind of jumped ship. So there's a lot of different places that like sites that are gonna change. Like the next hot coming trend. But for that reason, like, where was I going with this? I know I started with working. Yeah, there you go. That's what I was gonna say. That whenever you have any job, whether it's like data entry or it's like some kind of thing, I remember like through social media or whatever, like I would see somebody's name, and I would want to reach out. Just kind of like, oh, I haven't seen this person forever, or like, oh, this friend from elementary, and you're like, you friend request them, and then like it never gets answered, and you're like, really? Like we were cool, like we just grew our separate ways, but there was never any beef. And then there's people that act like they don't know who you are anymore, and it was like, wow, okay, cool, I get it. But then like years pass by, and all of a sudden like now I've just ghosted those places where I'm not on it. But I remember when I worked, like, and I'm pretty sure like people that work at DMV and all stuff like that, like they'll see somebody's name up, profile or whatever, and if it was somebody that went to high school with them, like, oh, let me see if they're on Facebook or whatever, see what they look like now, because that was like, I'm pretty sure like almost everybody does that. That's why my mom doesn't want to be on Facebook. She's like, screw that, they're gonna find me on Facebook. But yeah, your friend, I mean, she seems pretty cool. Wasn't a weirdo, but there are weirdo people like that. You reach out to them and they're like, I don't know, like angry and mad at life.
Yeah, I think we're gonna have to cut this video short because I think the fur babies got into the trash.
Oh no, is that what that was?
I believe so. So thank you guys for listening for now. If you like it, how does it go?
Like, share, subscribe.
Yes.
Or something like that.
Something like that. All right, guys. Thanks for listening.